today I'm going to be working with you through our baby size cow blanket. I'm working with Mary Maxim Mellowspun DK for this project, and I'll be using white and black, and I'm using a G+, which is a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook, and this is a turquoise Odyssey crochet hook from Furls, and there'll be links in the description box for the yarn and the hook. So this blanket is made by working corner to corner. Some of you might be familiar with corner to corner blankets or C2C blankets, and I'm just going to show you here on the chart how we read it. We don't go back and forth like this. What we do instead is we're working our corner to our corner. So I've just put some arrows here in how the rows work. So for row 1, it's like we're going down. Row 2, we work this box, then this box. At row 3, we're starting at this box, going to this box, going to this box. Row 4, we're working up, and we go back and forth in this pattern. Now in the PDF, you'll get your copy of your graph as well as the written pattern. So this then tells you, if you'd prefer not to look at the graph, what you need to do each row. Okay, so now let's get started with the beginning of the blanket, which is down here. And I'll refer to these squares as tiles. So to begin, let's make a slip knot and put it on the hook. And we're going to begin by chaining 6. Now we'll work a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, work a double crochet in the next chain. Yarn over, work a double crochet in the final chain. And this makes our first tile. Okay, so that is row 1. Now we'll chain 6. And we're working again in the 4th chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And in the next chain, and in the next chain. Then what you do, so it should look like this, you just flip up your first tile, and we're going to slip stitch into the turning chain here. And then we'll chain 3. And now we'll work 3 double crochet in that chain space. 1, 2, and 3. So basically every tile is made up of 4. So your chain and then 3 double crochets. So now if we look at it this way, here's our corner. So row 1, row 2. And every time we start our row, we're chaining out 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Working in the 4th chain, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then working down the chain so that we've worked 3 double crochets in total. Then we flip up our piece and slip stitch into that chain space. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. So when we're on the first one, we're chaining 6, and then once we're working the inner tiles, we're chaining 3 and doing our 3 doubles to complete our tile. So there's that tile made, and then here's our chain. up here. We need to slip stitch into it. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And then we're working 3 double crochet to complete our final tile. Now, I'm not going to complete the last one because we are going to change color now. If we're going to row 4 is now worked in our black. I know these are probably not the best colors to be showing you, but it is a cow, so black and white it is. So I'm getting my other ball. Now I know that I'll be working with a bunch of black and white throughout, so I've just rolled off a bunch of black here rather than working from the full ball. Now we also know we won't be using the white again because we have a good section of black here we're going to be working on. So I'm just going to cut the white. We can always separate this and roll that up into some smaller balls too. I don't have bobbins or anything. It's not as crazy as some patterns for all the color changes, but we still will be working from several white and black balls at some points in this pattern. So I'm going to pull through and finish that stitch off with the black. Move this. And I'm going to go by my written pattern here because I think for myself that's a little bit easier. And I'm going to be working 4 in black, and we'll be chaining 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you'll be working in the 4th chain from the hook. Now you won't really be able to see these chains very well in the black. 2, 3, 4. But we work double crochet in the 4th, another double crochet in the 5th, and a double crochet in the 6th. Flip my work up, and I slip stitch into that chain. Chain 3. Work 3 double crochet, we slip stitch across into the next chain 3 space, chain 3. And work 3 double crochet. These blankets work up really quick because we're working double crochets, and they are really quite simple once you get going at them. So now again we're just slip stitching, chain 3 and 3 double crochet. And we can see now we have 4. So 1, 2, 3, and now we have 4 tiles. For row 5, we have 5 tiles, and we're just chaining out our 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Start of every row we chain 6. We work back in the 4th chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. And a double crochet in the 5th, and a double crochet in the 6th. Again, we've just flipped the work up so that we're looking at all of those tiles, and we slip stitch in the top of the first tile. Chain 3, work 3 doubles. Slip stitch, chain 3. So remember, we're always chaining 3, and that's counted as 1 double crochet when we're working the inside of the tiles. You can just motor along really fast when we don't have a lot of color changes. Start is pretty simple, and we're slip stitching into the last one, chain 3 and 3 doubles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 doubles for row 5. Okay, so up until row 9, we're just doing this. So row 6, we have 6 tiles, row 7, 7, row 8, 8, row 9, 9, and all in the black, no color changes. So I am going to work those up off camera, and then I'm going to meet you back up for row 10. Okay, so I've worked up my 9 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tiles. So what I'm also going to do for you is give this a measure. So in total, I'm going to have 36 tiles across the bottom. So that is the width of my baby blanket. So I have 6 inches. Now, if yours is a bit bigger, it's really okay. The gauge doesn't make a huge difference. It just depends on what your finished size is going to be. So if you were using worsted weight and maybe a 5mm hook, you can get a little bit bigger blanket. So if I multiply 6 times 4, I know my blanket without any edging is going to be about 24 inches in width. So I didn't completely finish my tile here because we're going to be changing to the main color. So for row 10, we have 1 tile in the main color. We can look at that here. We have 1 tile in the main color, and then the rest of them are black. So I'm going to yarn over with white or the main color, pulling it through, and just give that a little tug to tighten it up a bit. And we're chaining 6. And 1, 2, 3, 4. So in the 4th chain, working a double in the next, and a double in the next. We're going to flip our work and so the row 10 is my wrong side. I'm not really super worried about what my wrong and right side is right now, but so this is my wrong side. So I'm going to pull it from my wrong side, the tail, and I'm going to yarn back over with the black. We didn't need to cut or anything because it's so close. So let's just pull that. Give everything a little bit of a tug. And then we're just slip stitching in the top of that first tile. And then we're chaining 3, because now we're on the inside. All those tails can be tugged so that we have a nice straight edge. And now we're just working across back the same as what we've been doing. So working 3 double crochet, and then we slip stitch into the next chain 3 space, chain 3, and we work 3 doubles again. We know the rest of this row is all in black. So we can, I'm just going to continue to work all the way across. Okay, so if we look back at row 10, our first tile here is the main color white, and then we have 9 in the black, so we have 10 in total for row 10. Row 11, we're going back to the right side. When I turn here, and we're working across 9, and then we'll be doing 2 in our final tile. So we begin the same, we chain out 6. One, 2, 3, 4, work a double crochet and a double in the 5th, double in the 6th. Flip our work. And I'm going to work across my tiles, and then I'm going to meet you up for changing color. So we're working across 9 in total. Okay, so one thing I'm going to do just for my own memory is I'm sticking my stitch marker. It's nice if you have one that fastens up, and once I get one, I'll grab one like that, just so we know our right side. So if we're going to do any messiness, do it on the wrong side, but this blanket overall looks pretty good on both sides because I've already completed my child size. So I'm working across, and I'm just finishing up my 9th tile in black. So I won't complete the stitch because now what I want to do is pull across the white. Just going to drop off the black. I'm going to pull through the white, and I'm just going to give it enough tension and looseness that I can crochet over it here as I go. So not too loose, not too tight, because we're going to slip stitch into that chain 3 space, chain 3, and then we'll crochet over it when we do those doubles. Okay, so I've got my 3 doubles made, and then we're slip stitching. You can kind of just pull those doubles across. It should mostly cover up. You got a little tiny bit showing, but not much of anything. So then we'll chain 3 and work our 3 doubles to finish off. So there we have, now we have our 9. And then we have our 2 in white. So let's take a look at what we're doing next. So for row 12, we're staying at 2 white, and then we're going to do 10 in black. So let me show you how we're going to do this. So we'll chain out 6. In the 4th chain from the hook, 1, 2, 3, 4, we'll make our double. Double in the 5th, double in the 6th. And then we fold our work up. That should be coming back, but I've got, just move that into position. So we're slip stitching to join, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're not going to finish. We're going to drop off, and we know the other, this is, we could drop it this way because we know this is our wrong side, and that might work better for when we're picking it back up. You don't have to though if it gets too confusing. So now we're going to grab the black, pull it through. Then we can just give that a tug. Give that a bit of a tug, and then we're slip stitching into the chain 3 space, chain 3, and then we're working our 3 doubles. Pull that through, slip stitch it, chain 3, and now again we're just working across in the black. So there you can see this is our wrong side. And we're going to keep working across, finishing off that row. And for a few more rows, we're just continuing in this manner. We're not bringing in any more color. We're just basically working back and forth. So row 13, finish 10 for row 13, we do 10, and then we do 3 in white. Row 14, we do 4 in white and 10. And we do 9 and 5. And then row 16 is when things change up again. And then I think I'll meet you up for that as well. Now you really need to be following along with your own PDF for this pattern. I just want to work through mainly the more difficult things with you to get you on your way, and then also what to do when you get to the corner, which is important as well. There's a lot of work you can do just on your own, and I just want to work you through the steps that might be confusing. Okay, so I'm just finishing up row 15 or row 14, and row 15 starts with the main color. So now we're starting to bring in our 3rd ball. So I'm going to finish off my last stitch here, and we're going to pull in the main color. And we will chain 6. And work our double crochet in the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th. And we need to flip our work up, and then we're yarning back over with the black and slip stitching into the chain 3, chain 3, working our 3 doubles. Okay, and then we need to work across. Let's get this guy over here. Put this here. I'm running out a little bit. I probably could have kept the bigger ball for the black. So I'm working now 9 in my black contrast color, and then we're doing, so we'll come to about here because then we're doing 5 in white for the end. So I'm going to complete that across, and I'll meet you up. Okay, so I've worked across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tiles in black. And usually I won't go much more than pulling the yarn across 2 tiles. Like you can, if you can pull, and it's going to be a judgment call as you work through the pattern, if you can pull it across a couple tiles and not have to cut and add, it saves a lot. So whenever you can do that, do it. Like this is just going across one tile, and that is easy to hide. So then we're chaining 3, working our 3 doubles. So I think that you should be fairly comfortable with how this is working at this point. It really is very repetitive. The only thing that's tricky is when we get into changing a bunch of colors and keeping our balls organized. If you've worked this style of blanket before, you'll be quite familiar and understand how it all works. So when we get up to row 18, we start bringing the main color into the center. So you'll want to bring in another ball of yarn, maybe roll off some sections is fine. We can always add just thumb knot join to add more on if we need to as we go. But all the details for yarn requirements will be in your pattern. So you can take a look at the PDF to see how many balls you'll be using in total and how you can separate them up. When I did my child size, I ended up just working from separate balls and just cut them and added on as I needed to, but I didn't roll off any sections. So you can just work from balls, but for the smaller size, the amount you'll need will be in the description box. So at this point, I'm going to keep working the pattern up until we get to the corner. I think if I come across anything as I'm working here off camera that I want to show you, I'll pop back on. But other than that, we're working really up to row 30 when we hit the corner section. Okay, so this is how it's looking, and I have reached the 30 row mark. So if we take a look at the graph, we get to 30, it's here, and our corner is here. We're working this way on row 30. So we're up here in the corner. So here is my corner, and now instead of chaining 6, what we're gonna do is chain 1, and we're gonna slip stitch across. 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we'll work down into the chain 3 space. Okay, so if we look at this now, you can see we've made our corner. And so for our written directions, we have our corner, and then we work 4 of the main color, and we just repeat along. So now we have an increased. So we'll work 1, 2, 3, 4, and continue with our pattern. And now we'll continue this far before we reach the next corner, which will be down here, because our blanket is wider than it is tall, and that's why we reach this corner before we reach this corner. So that will be the next corner that we will get to. Okay, so we're going to be starting row 37. So here is my work here, and we're going to need to bring in another ball. And I've only worked so far from 2 balls, and I've just separated them out. And I'm just cutting them off as I go, so then I can have them for when we're rejoining. So this is the end of row 36. So I'm just going to finish it off and show you So we slip stitch in the top, turn, we're going to slip stitch across 1, 2, 3, and you can see how nice this is looking, our top corner. And on the 4th, I am going to pull through with black because our first 2 colors of this row are in black. So pull through, chain 3, and now we'll work 3 doubles, and I'm just crocheting over my white here as I go. So there's 2, 3 double crochet, and I'm bringing along, I'm going to leave the black, but I'm going to bring along that white with me. So slip stitch and chain 3 and work 3 doubles. And I'll drop off to the wrong side my black and pull through with the white. And now we're going to work 5 in the white. 1, 2, 3. So just keep working along, following the pattern, and I'm going to meet you down at the corner. This is how it's looking so far. So I'm going to work all the way down through the pattern, and we'll be joining up at the bottom here. We will no longer be increasing that. Okay, so I'm coming to my last 2 tiles. So I'm changing here to back to the main color. So slip stitch, chain 3, and 1 more. Okay, and then what we just do is we slip stitch and we make our corner, and then we're slip stitching across 1, 2, 3, 4. So as I'm going, I just like to highlight, and then I just know exactly where I'm at. So now I know for row 38, I'm to my wrong side, which is where I'm leaving all my tails. All these can get weaved in at the end. And then we're working here our row 38 and working across. So we have 65 left, and at this point, it's going to be decreasing as we go. Let's see where we're at here. So we're looking at this part of the graph now. So we've come to our corner here. And now we're working, so as you can see, it's going to get smaller and smaller up to row 65 where we just have the 1. So that's what we're working on now. At this point, it's pretty straightforward, but I'll meet you up again at the end of this row, just again to show you how we're joining up. But just like we did this row is sort of how the rest of the pattern flows. So now this time we just have 1 in the main color. So 1, 2, 3. Do our 3 doubles. Whoops, our final double we want to pull through with the black. So I'm going to leave this to the wrong side of my work. I've been pretty consistent with that throughout. I'm going to pull through the black and I want to just tighten that up. Slip stitch, chain 3. And we're working 5 in the black, so all the way across the black section, and I'm just going to continue working and I'll meet you up at the end. Okay, so I'm coming up to my last 2 tiles and I need to change back to my contrast color, black. Chain 3, work 3 doubles. And then slip stitch, chain 3, work 3 doubles, and then we just slip stitch in the top, and we turn, and then we have to slip stitch across to get into position. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and I'm back to my right side, and we're starting with 2 in our black. So just chain 3 and then get working. And this is how all of your rows are going to be worked from here on out, and that's making your nice edge going around. So now I'm going to work on this off camera. I'm on to row 39. And I have 65 rows in total to complete. And then I'm going to meet you back up and walk you through how to do the edging. Okay, so I finished my blanket and I took the time to weave in all the ends. So both sides of the blanket look great. Now what we're doing is edging the blanket, and I've already started. It's really actually very simple. All you're going to do is take your hook. You can see we have 3 stitches, and then our stitches go this way with 3 stitches. So we're just joining in between the 3 stitches. So you can just take your hook, join anywhere, do a chain 1 and make your first single crochet. Then we just chain 2 and do a single crochet in the next space. So I'm going to come over here and show you what I'm doing, because we're coming up to a corner. So when I get to the corner, I chain 2, I do a single crochet in the corner, chain 2, and another single crochet in the corner. So that gets me around. Then I chain 2, then here's the 3 stitches. You go over them and single crochet, chain 2. You can see here's our next kind of square block. We go over them, and then in the next space a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. So you're just looking for those spaces in between the tiles. And we just do this all the way around. when I join, you can just join to any space around the blanket. Just make sure you have your right side facing. When you join on, so I've only used to do the blanket, the 2 balls, 2 black, 2 white, and I'm still working through my white here for the border. So I'm going to continue working around. So I'm just getting to my other corner, and I just wanted to go over it with you again. So I've chained 2, and up in the corner I'm going to single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, all in the corner, then chain 2, and we want to get past those first 3 doubles and in between. Chain 2, and I'm actually almost to where I started, so I'm just going to keep going along here. So chain 2, and then I'm coming to that first single crochet that I put in between the stitches. So I'm going to slip stitch to join. Chain 1. And we can really make our border as thick as we want. Definitely going to go around in another round of single crochet. So what we'll do this time is work a single crochet into the first single crochet stitch, and then in our chain 2 space we're going to work 2 single crochet, and you just want to make sure you're not pulling those stitches too tight. You're pulling the border in too tight, and then a single crochet and a single crochet. Single crochet in all the single crochets, and 2 single crochet in the chain in the chain 2 spaces. This makes our border really nice and clean. Looks really good. So I'm going to keep working along till I get to the corner, and then I'll show you what we're going to do there. Okay, so I'm coming up to my corner, and here's the chain 2 space of the corner there. So in that corner we're going to want to put 3. 1, 2, 3. Now what I would suggest, if you're going to go around and do your border any thicker, is just put a stitch marker in the second stitch. So the center of the 3, you want to put your marker, and then you just know if you go around again, you want to put 3 in that marked stitch. Otherwise you could do a chain 2 as well, but I'm just going to stick that in there. And then you just keep working around. 2 single crochet in the chain 2 spaces, and then a single crochet in the single crochet. So I'm going to complete this off camera. Okay, so when you finish getting all the way around, just slip stitch to join and fasten it off. And then that end can just get weaved in. You can see how nice your finished edge looks. And next, we're going to work on the hood. So for the hood, I'm going to be using the white yarn left from the blanket. So I'm definitely going to start into a new ball so I don't need to join any yarn. Okay, so for our hood, let's make a slip knot. And we're going to begin by chaining 11. And in the second chain from the hook, we're going to work an extended single crochet. So going through, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Go through the next chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, pull through 2. And we're going to work that all the way along until we get to the final stitch. We worked 1 extended single crochet in the last stitch, and we're going to add another one. So there's 2. We're turning and working on the opposite side, and that first, really the same space as the first chain on this side, so we'll put 2 more. And then we'll work an extended single crochet in each chain down the opposite side. So an additional 9. Okay, so for that row, in total we're going to end up with 22 stitches. At the end, we're going to chain 1 and turn. And that's the most confusing part of the hood pattern. And now we're just going to keep working. Basically, it's like we're going around, but we're not joining, so they are rows. Okay, so you're wanting to work up 9 stitches. So a total of 9 extended single crochet. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then in the 4 across the top, we're going to add 2 in each. You just go right back into the same stitch, doing 2 in each of the next 4. Okay. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Do 1 extended single crochet in the last 9 stitches. Chain 1 and turn, and now we'll work 1 extended single crochet in each of the next 10. Okay, and once you've worked the 10, then what we're going to do in the next 6 stitches is work 2. So 2 in the first, and in the next 5. Remaining 10 stitches will work 1 extended single crochet in each. Now, as you can see, this is the shape that you're getting, so we're increasing the top of every row. We're just going to work 1 extended single crochet in every stitch around, okay? So no increases for this row. Okay, and we have 32 stitches. We'll chain 1 and turn, and now we're going to do another increase. So we'll work an extended single crochet in each of the next 12 stitches. In the next 8 stitches, we're going to work 2 extended single crochet in each. Okay, and then in the remaining 12, work 1 extended single crochet in each stitch. At this point, you should have 40 stitches. We'll chain 1 and turn. And now we're just working extended single crochets in every stitch. So you want to do another 10 rows, so a total of 16 rows altogether. And as you keep working, this is my larger size, but it's going to eventually, whoops, so the back looks like this, but it's eventually going to start curving over and form the shape of the hood. So I'm going to work my rows off camera and then I'll meet you back. Okay, so I'm going to be working on showing you how to do all the details for the hood. This is my child size hood, but basically it will be very similar for the baby size. So here's my finished hood. Now I used just some yellow felt to make my tag and a button for attaching it. And I grabbed a couple buttons also for the eyes. And I'll be using some of the pink yarn as well as some of the light gray for the little horns. And I'm going to drop down and use a 4mm G crochet hook for making my details. Okay, so first off we're going to make the little ear, and I've already made one, so I'll show you how to make the other ear. I'm going to make a magic circle. Wrap the yarn around your index finger 3 times, take your hook, slide it through, grab the first loop and pull it through. We'll chain 1 and work 6 single crochet in the ring. Okay, so now to tighten up our ring, we're going to start pulling. One loop is going to come in, and we're going to take that loop now, pull it, that's going to pull that other loop, then just take your tail and pull. Now we'll slip stitch in the first single crochet to join. Chain 1. Work 2 single crochet in every stitch around. So 2 single crochet in the first, 2 in the next, and 2 in every stitch. So we're going up to 12 stitches. We'll slip stitch to join. Chain 1, we'll single crochet in the first, 2 single crochet in the next, 1 single crochet in the next, 2 single crochet in the next, and work that all the way around, ending with 18 stitches. And we'll slip stitch to join. You should have 18 stitches, and we're going to fasten off with a tail, because we'll use that tail to seam. And you can just weave in this end on the back here. So that's finished. So now our outer ear works the same way. So work all the way around until you have the 18 stitches identical to the pink. You're going to work one more round with the black. You're not going to be able to see these stitches very well, but what you'll do is chain 1, work 1 in the first, work 1 in the second, and then 2 in the next. So 1 in each of the next 2, and then 2 in the next. And you're going to go up to a total of 24 stitches. Okay, so we'll just slip stitch to join. Once we've finished working around, fasten off with a tail. And I'm also just going to weave this end in. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is attach our inner piece to the outer piece. So we're going to use the pink tail for sewing. And now what we're going to do, you can see your nice stitch working around the edge. We're not going to work into the nice edge. We're going to, first of all, we're not going to work into the stitch of the black either. I know it's hard to see. I'm just going to pick up a stitching inside, and then I'm going to fold and pick up the stitching in here. I just really want to be able to see that nice edge without working into it. So I'm just picking up some yarn here and then picking up this little loop rather than the stitch loops. And you're just going to do that all the way around. So now all I'm going to do is weave in that end. Just hiding it underneath. Oops. Can just trim that. And now what we're going to do is we want our nice shape. So now you're going to fold the bottom. I like to give it a little tug, like this, just to stretch it out lengthwise a bit. And we're wanting to weave the bottom here together to keep the shape. So we're going to sew the black section here together. See how that looks? So we have his little ears now, which will come off over here to the side. So next, I'm going to show you how to make his mouth. Okay, so we're starting with a magic circle, chain 2. We're going to work half double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in total. We're going to pull this, pull the tail. You can see the loop that's pulling in. You want to grab it and then just pull that other loop, pull this one tight. We're going to slip stitch to join in that first half double. Now we're going to be working extended single crochets. Chain 1, and we'll work 2 extended single crochets in every stitch around. So we're increasing to 18 stitches. Okay, so I'll complete that off camera. Okay, so I've worked around 18, slip stitch to join, and we'll work 1 extended single crochet in every stitch around. So this round also will remain at 18 stitches. So just working an extended single crochet. Okay, so now we need another increase round. So we'll chain 1, work an extended single crochet in the first, and 2 extended single crochet in the next. So 1 in the next, 2 in the next. And repeat that all the way around. Okay, so now we'll slip stitch to join. And for our final round here, we're just going to work single crochets. So chain 1 and just work single crochets all the way around. Okay, so I've slip stitched to join. You can fasten off with a long tail. You can weave in this inside tail. And we're going to add a little bit of polyester fiber fill. So we'll just weave this. And then this will get a little bit of stuffing. But we also want, now on my child I used buttons, but because this is smaller, we could just use a little bit of black yarn to make his nose. So all I'm doing is just going through with my yarn needle and some of my black yarn, pulling that through, just going around a couple stitches. Just like that. And then you can just knot it on the other side. And then we can just trim that up. And then I'm just going to seam it to the hood. Just make sure you center it. Just going to get it started here. So when I'm seaming, I'm just going to go through just a bit of the hood. And then I'm just going to be grabbing the one strand of the loop to go through. Rather than both. And I'm just going to do that all the way around. Okay, so I've been putting him all together. I got his little nose on here, and I put 2 small buttons for his eyes, and I just threaded them with some black thread and a needle. Attached his ears. I've done 1 little horn already. And what I ended up doing for this, I just freehanded and cut out. Here's the bigger one I did, and I'm just cutting up and just doing a small little area here for attaching. I used a safety eye. I ended up using a safety eye to attach his little piece here. It actually would work out really well to attach it to the pink first before you seam it. I was able to get it inside there by just pulling it back, but definitely I think if we did this prior to seaming the ear together, it would have been a little bit easier. For my larger hood, I just attached a button, so that was easy just to attach after the fact. But if you're going to use a little safety eye, I would do that first. So I also worked one of his little hooves already, and I'm going to show you how to make that as well. So let's start with his little horn. So make a magic circle, put that on the hook, pull it through, chain 1. We're going to work 6 single crochet in the ring. And now we need to pull the ring tight. Sometimes it can be tricky to get that first single crochet, but we need to slip stitch in it to join. Chain 1, and I'm just going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So we're going to remain at 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then we're slip stitching in the first single crochet to join. And I want you to do that for 2 more rounds. Now just fasten that off with a tail. I'm going to push that starting tail just inside, just to kind of work as a little bit of stuffing. You could stuff a little bit of fill in there, but I think that it doesn't really need it. And then we'll just seam it to the top. I'll use my bit bigger. So you just want to seam it to the top of the hood. I'm going to start it at the back. And I just want it right next to the ear. So what I'm basically going to do is go around going through each stitch. As I'm sewing that on. Okay, so you can give your cow a number, really whatever you want. I'm just going to use a Sharpie. So mine's gonna be 327. Okay, so next we're gonna work on the little hoof. Really simple to make. We're gonna start out with a magic circle. Pull that through, chain 2, and we're gonna work 10 half double crochet in the ring. Okay, and then we'll pull the ring tight. Slip stitch to join, chain 2, and I'll work 2 half doubles in every stitch around. So increasing from 10 to 20 stitches. And now we'll slip stitch to join, chain 1, and we're going to work in the back loop only. So go through the back loop and work a single crochet. We're going to do that all the way around. And we'll have 20 stitches worked. And I just slip stitch to join, and now we're just working chain 1, work 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So we're remaining at that 20 stitches. And I want a total of 10 rounds, so we need to make, we've already made 3, 1, 2, 3, so we need to do 7 more. So 7 rounds of single crochet. So I'll just complete working my rounds off camera and then I'll meet you back up again. But essentially, this is what it's going to look like. We can fasten off. And then what I like to do, just to kind of make it look a little bit more like a hoof, is we can just pinch that and just seam the front right here, just so it gives us that hoof shape. Okay, so what I've done is I took the tail from the inside and brought it to the outside, and you want to make sure that your tail is to the side of the hoof for seaming before we do this. So now I'm just folding it. I'm going to take my yarn needle and I'll weave it down to kind of get it into position. Then I'm just going to seam that these are seamed together. Just like that. Then we can just weave in this end. Okay, so each of those pieces are done now, ready for seaming. And one last thing we need to make is the tail. Okay, so for the tail, we're going to need our black and white. I know it is harder to see when we're doing that, but I've already shown you how to do your magic circle. So it's more just the stitch count you need to know for this to help you. So we're again starting with a magic circle. And I'm doing a chain 1 and then working 6 in the ring. Okay, and we'll pull the ring tight. And I need to slip stitch into that first one, and it's always hard with single crochet to get it in there. Okay, so now we're going to start right into an increase. So we'll chain 1, work 1 in the first, work 2 in the next, work 1 in the next, work 2 in the next, work 1 in the next, and 2 in the next. And so that will be a total of 9 stitches, and we'll slip stitch to join. Increase the next round, we'll chain 1, work 1 in the first, 1 in the next, and then 2 in the next. So same idea, we just have now 1 more stitch between the increase. So 1 in the next, 1 in the next, and then 2. So we're increasing this round to 12 stitches. So just repeat that around. So one more increase round, we'll chain 1, work 1 in the first, 1 in the next, and 1 in the next. So we've now worked 3 single crochet before the increase, and then we'll work 2. So just repeat that increase all the way around. And I've slip stitched that to join. So now what we're going to do is 3 rounds. We're up to now 15 stitches. So we're going to do 3 rounds at 15 stitches. So no more increases. So just working single crochets in every stitch around, and do that for 3 more rounds and I'll meet you up. Okay, so now we're going to do a decrease. So we'll chain 1, work 1 single crochet in the first, the second, the third, and we're going to decrease the next 2. So go through, pull up a loop, go right into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pulling through all 3. So now 1 in each of the next 3, and then decrease the next 2. So going through the stitch, pulling up a loop, go through the next stitch, pull up a loop, pull through all 3. 1, 2, 3, and decrease those last 2 stitches. Slip stitch to join. So I've chained 1 and we're going to do another decrease round. So work 1 single crochet in the first, in the second, and then decrease the next 2. So basically a reverse of our stitch pattern. So 1, 2, and then a decrease. And you'll just do that once more, and we'll be decreased to 9 stitches. Okay, so I'm coming to my final decrease here. And we're going to change color on that final stitch. So we're pulling through all 3 with the white. We'll slip stitch to join. Chain 1. You can crochet over those tails as you go. And you should be working around a total of 9 stitches. So there's 2, 3, oops, 4. Okay, and so now we're just making our rounds in white for 9 stitches, so we won't be doing any more decreases. We're just basically making as many rounds as we want for the length of our tail. So for my child size, I did about 12 rounds. So I'm gonna start working my rounds here with the baby, and we'll see if I think 12 is good or if that's too many. Okay, so I'm just gonna complete my rounds of 9 stitches off camera. Okay, so I worked up the 12 rounds, and then I'm just fastening off, leaving a tail for seaming. Now, what you can do, this is optional, but you can brush out the black section of the tail just to give it a real fuzzy little look, but that's optional. So here are all my pieces, and then the next step will be to seam them to the blanket. I just grabbed my brush. And I'm just going to rough that up. It just gives it that little fuzzy look. Okay, so next up is we're going to start seaming all of this together. So choose what side you want for the top. I think I'm going to go with these shorter edges for the bottom and do this one as the top of the blanket. So what we're going to do is evenly place the hood now along here. So I'm going to use my measuring tape and measure, and then I'm going to also count stitches just so I'm certain that I have it in the center. Okay, so it worked out that I have about 32 stitches on each side, and I just marked it with some yarn. And now what I'm doing is going through the stitches along the blanket and just seaming the hood. And make sure that you're seaming it right over to that other marker. Once you get to the end, we're then just going to weave our needle back through back in the opposite direction. Okay, and then just make sure that that's not pulled too tight. We don't need those there. Okay, so now we have our cute little hood on our blanket. So next we could add the tail. And what I'm doing is I'm just going to lay my blanket out and find the center of the back. Okay, so I'm just going to seam it right on here. So I'll flip it. And I'm just going through now both sides of the tail, so we're seaming that closed as we go. Looks nice, and then we can just weave this tail. Okay, and now what we'll do is we'll put the mittens on. So you have to think about now how the little mitts would go as if they were wearing the blanket. So you want that the hand can go inside them. I mean, it's not going to be so much for a baby, but for the bigger sizes. So cute. Okay, so you just want to fold them up so your right side's facing the right side of the blanket. And then all we're going to do is take that yarn needle, line up the stitches, going through, well, not the first, just go through each stitch along the blanket and the little hoof. Now you could have these in black or white. I thought the gray would be much easier to see on the video. and I did use the gray for the little horns, so I thought it would be okay. Then we're just going to weave this yarn needle back through. So here the blanket is all done with the little hooves and the hood. Make an adorable little infant prop or little blanket for your baby. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial.